You're about to enter the Atomic Voodoo Lounge, New Stanton's one and only surreal dive bar, bringing you beauty and magic and terahertz tragic. I'm Maxwell Vegas, writer, poet, musician, and author of the novel New Stanton. Descend with me into the static buzz of late night radio, where words and music swirl through neon dreams and drift like cigarette smoke out over dried up prehistoric seas. Tonight, the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast and Heavy Sixer Productions are proud to present Lucidity Pete, a short story by Nick Dinardi. Lucidity Pete was included in Season 2, Episode 14 of the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast. Lucidity Pete by Nick Dinardi. 1. It's amazing, really, the kinds of places you find in a strip mall. Equally amazing is the amount of trust you place in people wearing lab coats. Marketing manager Davey Wild found himself in both realities as the first round of eye drops were administered. Round 1 complete, a disembodied voice announced via speaker. A new technician rotated in. The fluid in the new dropper was blue, and there was a lot of it. Booting up in sedative wetware, the silent technician squeezed the fluid into his left eye. Davy recoiled at the feeling. His eye seemed to drink the fluid up. Round 2 complete, biomarkers optimal, installing synaptic UI. The final dropper glowed coral pink, faded but somehow vivid. The next technician squeezed the fluid into Davy's right eye. He felt it pull itself into the back of his head, his brain bathed in cool water. Dynamic cohesion reached. Lucidity Pete successfully installed. Congratulations, Davy. Dream well. Thank you, Davy answered to the voice. The nameless and silent technicians disappeared into a back room. 2. Veronica snored next to him, which pissed him off because she owned nose strips and nose spray, but never used them. He loved her. He knew that. But there were things he could not say to her. Things like, "Your snoring makes me question our entire life together." Or the ever-present, "I want to quit my job and do something with my hands." Alone, that second one wasn't so bad, actually, but these thoughts were never in a vacuum. The full bundle was something like, "You push this baby on me, this job on me, this house on me, this life on me. I want to quit my job and do something with my hands. I want to sleep without waking up to the room vibrating. I love you, but if I can move across state lines to live in your hometown and put a goddamn baby in you, maybe you could see to my needs a few more times per month. Sweetie?" But those were the easy resentments. The real dissatisfactions were deeper still. Veronica was a beautiful black woman with powerful roots in her community. Her story felt important, her struggles immeasurably more real than his own. No, his wavering happiness was less to do with a conspicuous lack of blowjobs and more to do with feeling like he was a character in someone else's dream. But Davy did love his wife. This was no lie. And he would love the interracial child she bore. He wanted to be a good husband and father, especially given the difficulties that lay ahead. And all this, he thought, is why he would never cheat, why he would never quit his job, which was secure and high paying. He would never disappear to live in a cabin or bungalow somewhere to find out who he really was. No, he would never be an absent father. These would all be childish, destructive solutions to his petty dissatisfactions, especially since now he could do them all anyway, in his own mind. 3. There is no sensation like it, to be living what you think is life and then to realize it is fiction. Not metaphorically, but physically unreal. You will not experience it until you die, unless you lucid dream. Davy was fighting with his wife Veronica in their kitchen, which was still unfinished. The early May air wafted in through the windows. The sun made everything glow, and nothing glowed stronger than Veronica's crimson cheeks when she raised her voice in exasperation. "I know you're busy," she chuckled. "I'm living in the proof of it. But I'm not the one who promised to finish with the cabinets 2 months ago." "So you do wish we hired someone," Davy yelled, knowing he sounded juvenile. But he went on, "You're the one who's been freaking out about saving money, so which is it, babe? Fast or cheap? Because we can't have both." She shook her head, smiling. "Grow up already," she said, and walked into the living room. Davy went to follow, but a strange red glare blinded him, and the afterimage took the fuzzy shape of a silhouette. The light shadow of a man. No, a boy who lived forever. "You're dreaming, Davy." Davy spun to the sound of his voice and was blinded again. The light stung his eyes, leaving a faded coral imprint across his retinas. The light show boy spoke again. "It's okay, Davy. You're asleep. This is a dream. A wonderful dream." It still didn't land. Experienced dreamers will tell you, even if you admit to knowing you're in a dream, you could still just be dreaming it rather than knowing it. It is easier for the mind to dream it is dreaming than to wake inside the dream. The light shadow reminded him. "Remember the drops, Davy? You put them right in your eyes. Our fantastic dream drops. I'm your friend, Davy. Your friend. Lucidity, Pete." Davy almost buckled. His body felt 5 times too heavy, like he was having a heart attack. The hardness of the granite countertop smoothed against his fingers, and the air buzzed around his ears. The room, which he now realized had been floating before, sat down in weighted reality. He was imminently here. "Breathe slower, Davy. Breathe slower, or you'll wake up." But this was insane. "I'm asleep in my bed right now," he said. "I'm dreaming." "Sure you are." Davy ran into the living room where Veronica sat on the couch. He opened his mouth and woke up. But somewhere between losing the dream and gaining consciousness, the voice followed him and trailed off. "I told you to breathe slower, Davy." 4. The third time was a charm. Davy was across the street from his childhood home outside Buffalo, New York. His high school buddy, Tom, had died on that street, but right now, he was alive and well. Oddly, Tom remembered his own death. "Shit sucked, man. I do not recommend getting run over. Can I bum a cig?" Davy reached into his pocket, although he hadn't smoked in 11 years. A light hit his eye. "Do Do you really need me for this one, Davy? This one is really obvious. You're asleep, knucklehead. Asleep in dreamland. Oh, shit, Davy said, looking around in awe. Okay, close my eyes and spin. That's the trick, Lucidity Pete responded. And indeed, that was the trick to prevent the body from waking up. Davy closed his eyes and spun. He slowed his breathing. When he opened his eyes again, he hugged Tom with all his might and began to cry. Whoa, buddy, easy. You're gonna scuff up my jacket. What's up, man? Don't worry about that death shit. I'm chilling. Davy answered, You're not real, Tom. You're just a character in my dream, but damn it, I miss you. Not real? Speak for yourself. Now, are you going to give me a cigarette or what? Imagine something else, Davy. This is getting sad. You can do anything, remember? Anything at all. I'll be right back, Davy said to Tom. Whatever, man. I'll be here. And Davy entered his childhood home. When he got to his bedroom, his old high school biology teacher, Mrs. Holloway, was waiting on his bed. He spent 10 minutes interrogating her, inspecting her, asking her questions about her life since he graduated all that time ago. He marveled at the sound of her voice and the agency within her responses. She said things he could not have predicted in 1,000 years. How was that possible? He also marveled at the chipped wallpaper in his old room and the smell of his freshly washed sheets. Everything was exactly how he remembered it being as a teenager. Then, trembling even in his dream, he and Mrs. Holloway embraced. It isn't real, he moaned as he drove down into her. It became all he could say, a desperate refrain. It isn't real. It isn't real. It isn't real. Eventually, Mrs. Holloway laughed and joined in. It isn't real. It isn't real. Come inside me, Davy. Fuck me like it isn't real. A flash of coral seared into Davy's eyes, and he moaned in pain and pleasure. The sweat of Mrs. Holloway beaded and fell in streamlets down her body. He could smell her and taste her, hear her breathing and laughing, feel her thrusting. Is this real? Don't be silly, Davy. You're asleep in Night-Night Town. The light shadow answered, and Davy could swear he saw it reflected in Mrs. Holloway's eyes. Give me all of it, Davy. It isn't real. Davy came so hard he entered a deeper dream state and trampolined out of it like a rocket ship into consciousness and woke up on his living room couch at 3 p.m. on a Saturday with a spreading stain in his pants and the echo of a voice asking, Was it fun, Davy? By 5 p.m., Davy was working on his kitchen cabinets. 5. Davy fucked near about every woman he had ever had a crush on, saw on TV, passed on the street, or made eye contact with. But he also flew around the world like Superman, breathing the icy air of our atmosphere before dropping in again on Hawaii, Russia, Vietnam, Australia, Madagascar. Of course, he didn't know what these places actually looked like, but his subconscious ideas were enough to build feasible simulacra. He flew planes and drove across the American desert. Davy spoke to dead actors, authors, presidents, friends like Tom, and eventually his own deceased relatives. He spoke to his wife, who would let him gripe endlessly before rewarding him with enthusiastic mouth games. He went to space, killed a coworker he didn't like, walked the Great Wall of China completely alone. But after some time, Davy settled into a routine. He was rebuilding an old Chevy Camaro with his dead grandfather, talking about his problems and getting sage and honest advice from the old man. Respect your wife. Stop fucking around. Talk to her for Pete's sake. Then he would go fishing in the old lake outside Buffalo, New York, and crack a couple beers with Tom, who he was able to reimagine with the aid of aging software he had used while awake. Finally, he would practice his speeches to his dream wife, shedding tears and explaining that, yes, he felt trapped, but God, he loved her so much, and maybe this was just what life was, and he wanted it to always be with her, and he would be a man and handle things the right way. He would run into his life, not away from it, but he wanted to feel like it was their life, together. He told the character in his dream that he did not want to be a character in her dream. She would cry too, and they would hug, and he would kiss her tenderly. After one such practice run, he woke up at 4:54 a.m. and turned to his real wife, who was snoring, and kissed her on the cheek, then on the lips. She woke with surprise, but smiled when she knew where she was. There were tears in Davy's eyes, and he told her he missed her, but he knew it was his own fault. They made love. The next day, Davy said his piece for real. There were hard feelings, but also proposed solutions. I love you, Veronica said, and we're going to build such a beautiful life. For the first time in a long time, Davy felt the truth in her words, but in broad daylight, he heard an echo from very far away. Why didn't you tell her about me, Davy? 6. Okay, you two, here we go. Dr. Sion Sim glided the probe across Veronica's belly. Let's see if we can't get a better view here. Davy and Veronica held hands. They kissed, and Veronica said, "It's going to be a boy. I know it is." Davy smiled. He had discovered a few weeks ago that when Lucidity Pete woke him into a dream, all he had to do to become unlucid was to lay down in the dream and go to sleep again. When he did this, the bright burning light shadow did not impose itself again. Davy still enjoyed building the Camaro with his grandpa, but sometimes he just wanted to sleep. Last night, he had slept like a baby. I think we're about to get a show. Yes, here we are. Congratulations, you two. You're having a baby girl. Oh, my Lord, Veronica cried, and she kissed Davy again. I'm having a daughter? He asked. Dr. Sim replied, smiling, That's right, Dad. It's you and your ladies now. He had known the baby was on its way, at least abstractly, and he had seen in movies when soon-to-be parents would get emotional when they saw the sonogram of their unborn child. But he still didn't expect the feeling he had now. It was like the heaviness of first becoming lucid, but localized to his heart and behind his eyes. He was going to be a father to a daughter. He felt short of breath. Veronica saw the tears in his eyes, and she smiled through her own and kissed him for a third time. Dr. Sim said, Let me print these images for you. And a bright red flash branded Davy's retinas with hot light. Honey, what is it? Mr. Wilde, are you all right? I'm fine, he answered, looking through the floating after image in his eyes. Just got a cramp. It's all these emotions, I guess. The doctor smiled and left to get the images, but Davy was racked with fear. He knew he wasn't asleep, but at the same time, he realized there was no difference between what he felt now and what he felt when he was awakened into his dreams. Sure, he knew he wasn't asleep, but did he really? Do you have the time? He asked Veronica. Davy, are you sure you're okay? Just let me see your watch. The boy spoke. Oh, Davy, surely you knew this was a dream. It's so magically perfect, so wonderfully too good to be true. Trembling, he held Veronica's smartwatch to his eyes. Honey, you're scaring me. What fucking time is it? He braced his left arm with his right, and the time on her watch stopped trembling. As the light show faded, he could read the time clear as day. 3:23 p.m. Relief swept through him. In dreams, even lucid ones, you cannot tell time or read. The numbers and letters are not stable enough. In other words, the watch could not lie, but apparently, Lucidity Pete could. 7. Veronica slept in the other room as Davy dialed. DTIO, how may I help you? A woman answered. I'm reporting a malfunction and would like it fixed. For which product, sir? Lucidity Pete, serial number 000000088. Thank you, sir. Could you repeat that number? All zeros and 2 8s. Can you handle that? Thank you, sir. And what is your problem exactly? He didn't like how that question came across, but answered it anyway. The voice or character or whatever isn't as contained as it should be. I hear it sometimes after I wake up, and today it full on told me I was asleep when I wasn't. Are you sure you're not asleep right now, sir? Excuse me? It's a safety question, sir. If you cannot confirm to me now that you know you are awake, then we are required by mandate to report this as a crisis incident. Jesus fuck. Sir, are you sure you're not asleep right now? Why did that question drive fear deep into his soul? Yes, for fuck's sake, I am sure I'm not asleep. Now, can you help me? Is there an update I could do? I want the goddamn bugs ironed out. Unfortunately, sir, it says here the next update will not be available for 6 months. This will, of course, be free of charge. 6 months? Yes, sir, that is what it says here. Okay, and until then, you are free to uninstall your software with our Protean flush procedure. Should I schedule it for you? And if I want to reinstall once the update is released, well, that would be full price, sir, as you would need to undergo the proper scans and, yeah, that's what I thought. So there's nothing you can do? If you are in fear for the safety of you or your loved ones, we would recommend calling your local emergency services. What? Who the fuck are you? What is your name? I'm just reading off a script, sir. You seem agitated and afraid. I am giving the best guidance I can give. That is all I can do, unless you would like to schedule a Protean flush. Davy hung up. His hands were trembling, and he made himself look at the time on his phone. 8. Weeks passed without further incident. Davy stuck to his technique of going to sleep within his dreams to rebuff lucidity, but why didn't he want to schedule the Protean flush or whatever it was called? What was he holding on to? Truth was, he liked having freedom in his back pocket. He had taken that survey and been selected as a beta user, one of only 100 across the state. And the dreams? How could you even describe them? Tell a person to look around, stare at the table in front of them, notice the wood grain and the smells in the air and the sounds of their neighborhood. Then tell them they are asleep. Would they believe you? A dream gone lucid is no different than waking up in your own bed, a floating and silly reality replaced with a firm one. This is not fiction. The realness of the lucid dream is in itself a cause for ecstatic terror, but shortly after, ecstatic bliss. Davy's unimaginable freedom, Tom, his grandfather, his dream wife, his dream sex. Lucidity Pete made one mistake. That was all. Then he left Davy alone. Why uninstall? As Veronica's third trimester rolled around, Davy once again began accepting Lucidity Pete's invitations. Where are the babes in dreamland, Davy? Don't you want to be free? Yes, Davy affirmed he did. So much so that after a time he hardly noticed when Lucidity Pete's silhouette began removing itself from his retinas. The flash of coral light ceased coming from within. Davy would turn, and a real light within the dream world would blind him. Giddy up, partner. You're fast asleep. Only when Davy would turn and get on with his dreaming, the shape would remain where it was, watching. 9. The local farmer's market was Veronica's favorite place to get groceries. It set up shop every Saturday morning and a community rose around it. She and Davy held hands and perused the stands and kiosks. They were looking at tomatoes when Veronica's boss, the principal of Westlake Middle School, swooped in to say hello. He was a middle-aged black gentleman by the name of Kofi Williams. Well, if it isn't the Wilds. Morning, Davy. Veronica, I trust maternity leave is suiting you well. Oh, yes, it's been great, but I was telling Davy it's only been a week and I'm already feeling restless. What do you think, Kofi? Maybe I could teach via Zoom again? And Veronica laughed nervously. Well, I'm afraid those days are over, Veronica. Besides, it's good to give our long-term sub a chance. And you need to save all your energies, believe me. Melanie had a hell of a time with our two girls. Davy looked away to the oranges and was blinded by red-pink light. Without me, you'd never know you were dreaming, Davy. Your thoughts are getting more boring all the time. Davy brought his hands to his eyes and expected Veronica or Kofi Williams to say something, but they kept talking. Then his world crunched into place and a weight consumed him. No, he said, I don't believe you. It's another bug. He said these things aloud, both to respond to Lucidity Pete and so his wife would notice, but she didn't. Not this time, friend, the light show answered. This time, I'm as right as rain. The skies opened up to a heavy downpour. A dark mist in the shape of the silhouette hovered behind the oranges and disappeared. What the fuck? Davy spun his wife around and looked at her watch. He could not tell the time. With this final confirmation, he went from seeing the rain to feeling its wetness. The reality of the dream was complete. You don't get to do that, he yelled through the storm. You don't get to fuck with my dreams. The boy who lived forever answered him from inside Davy's chest. If I can do anything, Davy, it's because I'm already you. Davy jumped out of bed. Veronica snored on her side. She wore a sleep mask Davy had never seen before. He padded down the hall and into the bathroom. He pissed in the dark. After washing his hands, he drank directly from the sink, letting the cool water soothe his throat. Then he looked into the mirror and screamed. His reflection was not himself. It was changing and morphing in real time. It's just dark, he thought. Leftovers from the dream. Not exactly, Davy. And the coral light blitzed into his pupils. Ah! He screamed and flicked on the lights. His reflection was still not his own. It was some other Davy with false teeth and contorted cheeks. Babe, what's wrong? Veronica called from the bedroom. I need you to come in here, he yelled back and heard her footsteps approaching. This is no joke, Davy. This is a false awakening. Only the most experienced of dreamers can have these, Davy. You should be proud. Shut the fuck up. Honey, who are you talking to? What's going on? Veronica raced into the bathroom, looking around wildly. Davy asked, Am I dreaming? What? Am I fucking awake right now or not? Yes, of course. The silhouette seared into his mind and he yelled in pain. Asking the dream if it's real, Davy? Why, that's what you have me for. Don't you know that without me, you'd never know the difference? Not until it was too late to have your fun. And oh, what fun we have, Davy said. But it wasn't really Davy who said it. Something had made his mouth and tongue form the words. Oh my God, Davy, your face. What happened to your face? Veronica opened her mouth in a malformed scream and Davy jolted in his desk at work. A hand slapped down on his shoulder. It was his coworker, Steve, the one Davy had killed in his dreams. The baby ain't even here yet, Davy boy. You already losing sleep? Nonplussed, Davy looked around. Steve kept walking as he usually did after saying something an asshole would say. The rest of the office looked normal, felt normal, sounded normal, and smelled normal. Slowly, Davy's memories of the workday came to him. Waking up this morning, check cereal which had filled him up right until he entered the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. Work meetings and the presentation outline with Margaret, lunch, dozing at his desk. But could that have been yesterday? And he was now asleep at home? What about the rest of the day? Hadn't he at times forgotten the day before his dream, even when he was lucid? The world flashed that miserable, torturous shade of red-pink. A double, that's really impressive, Davy. Really, and don't be sad. You'll wake up soon. Maybe this is your mind telling you to have fun. Remember? Still panicked, he looked at his phone. The screen had a faint underglow of coral, but Davy didn't notice it because the time was indeed jumbled. The numbers swirled into each other like mystic sands. He took a deep breath and sat back in his chair. The last thing he wanted was fun. Come on, Davy. Your wonderful wife hasn't had fun with you in weeks. Why do you think we're here? At work. There's only one thing worth dreaming about here. On cue, Margaret walked through the open concept office. Marge hasn't made your lucky lady list, has she, Davy? Fuck you, he whispered. Steve from the next desk answered. Presentation giving you a hard time, Davy boy? Davy thought about conjuring a gun onto his desk and putting 3 bullets in Steve's chest, but he didn't. Well, with dreams this boring, who needs life? See you around, buddy. And the character installed in Davy's head retreated somewhere deep within him. Davy looked up at Margaret, bending over Colin Brady's desk to ask him a question. She was wearing the skirt Davy liked, because obviously she was. What else would she wear in his dreams? He became aroused and thought maybe the entire office could use a good show after all. Margaret left Cullen's desk and Davy called to her. "Margaret, could you come over here for a sec?" "Sure, Davy. Something else you need for the Bunsen campaign?" She reached his desk. "No, I'm afraid this issue is harder than that." "Oh, okay. What can I do?" She made direct eye contact as he spoke. "Well, you see, Margaret, my cock is about bursting through my pants here. Do you think you could lube it up for me? There might be a promotion in it for you." Margaret froze and went pale. She stuttered, "What?" Steve's chair whipped and rolled backwards as he stood up from his desk. "Davy, what the fuck?" Davy turned to the asshole. "Oh, shut the fuck up, Steve, or I'll hurtle you off the roof again, you malignant prick." The entire office turned to the situation now. Steve and Margaret were stunned to silence. Davy faced Margaret. "Well, go on," he continued, "and make sure to go all the way down to the balls. I like that." He started unzipping his pants when Steve came over and throttled him from his chair onto the ground. "Say another word, asshole. You're fucking done. Do you realize that?" "Whoa," Davy answered from the carpet. "This is new. I guess today really is a blow your head off kind of day, Steve." A flash of pink. "Get him, Davy." A nondescript automatic pistol appeared in Davy's right hand, and he aimed it up at Steve's head. Steve's mouth was open, and he stared down the barrel. "Margaret, you can go home, okay? Take the week off if you want, whatever you need." She wiped a tear from her eye, but said, I'm okay." Her fear was still there, but became second fiddle to the worry in her eyes when she looked at Davy, who now stood up. "Goodbye, Stevie boy." And he pulled the trigger. A shot rang out, and he felt the recoil of the handgun, but Steve did not move. And now Steve wasn't even mad. While never looking away from Davy, he said, "Margaret, I think we could you call someone?" "Yes," she answered and walked briskly away. "Davy, I think something has happened to you, okay? Do you know where you are?" Davy put 3 more bullets in Steve's chest, but they disappeared into nothing, even as their reports cracked through the office. He talked to himself. Maybe it's the stress? Too much cheese before bed? Then to Steve, "Well, if you won't die and she won't fuck, don't mind if I fly out of here for greener pastures." He opened the window next to him, and Steve ran forward. "Don't fucking come near me, Steve. God, you're always so annoying." Then Davy's phone vibrated, and he looked at it out of instinct. It was a text from his wife saying, "She's on her way. Red alert. En route to Parish Hospital now. Meet me." Excitement came first as he took in the words. Then his body froze with reality-bending shock. He could read the text, and above it, he could see the time, 1:40 p.m. He was overcome with vertigo when the voice sounded between his ears. "Oopsie, but you can't blame me, Davy. You can't blame me for wanting you to have fun." He looked up to Steve, who repeated his question. "Davy, do you know where you are right now?" I thought it wasn't." He couldn't breathe. He looked down at his pants and zipped them up. I have to go. Veronica's in labor. If this is medical, we can figure something out, Davy. Please stay until help arrives." "He means police, Davy, for sexual assault." The fire alarm went off, and it was louder than anything Davy had ever heard in his life. He covered his ears. "Get to the hospital, Davy. Our daughter is almost here." Our daughter? He ran out of the office with his hands to his ears while Steve screamed in silent pontifications. 10. Davy was not going to the hospital. He was going to flush Lucidity Pete out of his system. He sped down Route 11 and turned left on Gaunt Street, shooting toward the Happy Days strip mall. A wave of coral lapped over the world like wet UI. Don't you want to see our daughter, Davy? Our wonderful dream daughter? Get out of my head. It's our head now, good buddy. What wonderful adventures we'll have. Uh-oh, here's one now. A big rig semi-truck came barreling toward them. Get out of the way, Davy. That driver's lost his marbles. It's you. The truck isn't real. But boy, did it look and sound real. Other cars drove onto curbs and into side streets to avoid the 18-wheeler, but they had also had a pink underglow. Davy kept going. Don't kill us, Davy. One of us is going to sleep forever, good buddy. He looked to the passenger seat, directly into the coral pink blaze. Say goodnight, you prepubescent fuck. He screamed as he drove head-on into the semi. It blared its horn as it drove through him and disappeared into a pink haze. Davy rear-ended the actual car in front of him at 40 miles per hour. The airbags exploded in a sea of floating glass and a tearing noise worse than any nightmare. Davy Wilde, you're under arrest for sexual assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't... Davy screamed, threw open his car door, and ran through the hologram policeman with silhouettes for eyes. Didn't you see I was stopped? An older woman cried from the driver's seat of her car. It looked like she may have broken her back. Didn't you see? Davy ran. Happy Days strip mall wasn't far now. He ran through parking lots and across side streets. He passed Mrs. Holloway, lying on the asphalt, naked, fingering herself and beckoning to him. He passed Tom, who asked him for a cigarette, and his grandfather, who admonished his unwise behavior. When he got to Happy Days strip mall, he saw his wife in the parking lot, legs spread. She's coming, Davy. Our beautiful daughter is almost here. Please don't go in there, Davy. We need you. I know, he answered, and ran past her to the entrance of dreamthink.io. But the glass entrance was already smashed in. The lobby inside was destroyed and abandoned, and there was a violent crunch in some back office as something was demolished. A crazed woman appeared at the end of the hall, holding an empty eyedropper. Are you real? She asked across the ruins of the forgotten lab. Yes, Davy answered. But you know I would say that anyway. I don't want to dream anymore, she said, wiping her eyes. I just want to live. She broke the empty eyedropper against the wall, leaving a shard of glass in her hand. But oh, what fun we'll have, Davy screamed. Wait! And the woman slit her throat and fell to the ground. I'm not even here, am I? You are, Davy. She's not real. I'm staring into a full and normal office, and she isn't real. She just couldn't handle it, Davy. She wanted to stop dreaming. Isn't that the saddest thing you ever heard? Davy touched the remaining glass in the doorframe and cut his fingertip. Fuck, he shouted, less from the pain than from not knowing if even that was real. He felt dizzy and afraid. In a dissociative fugue state, Davy ran back to his car, ignoring the silent shouts of the crowd around him. He drove over the median and back toward the hospital. The silhouette did not speak. Then he was running down the hospital halls and into the delivery room. He looked around, not knowing how he had gotten there, but also not caring. You made it, Veronica cried and reached out for his hand. He grabbed it and kissed it. He kissed her forehead and her cheek and her lips. "I love you so much," he said. "I love you too, baby. We're having a family." "You sure are, you two. Here she comes." Dr. Sion Sim motioned Davy to her. "Dad, would you like to see the birth of your daughter?" "Yes." And he wiped tears from his eyes. He stood next to the doctor and looked between his wife's legs. "Here's the head," said Dr. Sim. "I don't see anything." "Here she comes now. Push, Mrs. Wilde, push." A bright coral pink light exploded from between her legs, and Davy looked directly into it. Ta-da! The world fell into itself, and he felt 5 times heavier, like he was having a heart attack. "Oh," he said, but it was not him saying it. "Oh, what fun we'll have." Davy did not wake up. Nick Donardi is an American writer based in Germany. He lives in denial of the seriousness of life and channels that denial into fiction, essays, and insomnia. He's on Substack at Nardi's Rag and on Instagram at Nardi Writes. Lucidity Pete was featured in Season 2, Episode 14 of the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast. If you liked what you heard, please visit atomicvoodoolounge.com or search the Atomic Voodoo Lounge on your favorite podcast app or service. Thanks for listening, and please spread the word about the Atomic Voodoo Lounge's mix of speculative noir poetry, fiction, and spoken word. In addition to the words, the AVL also has the beat. We play a variety of mood-inducing music, including surf, exotica, jazz, blues, and more. Copyright 2026 by Heavy Sixer Productions, LLC. All rights reserved. And remember, AtomicVoodooLounge.com.